She is an incredibly competent character. She has decided to take a very different route than society expected her to take, and she's rewarded for it in the course of the book. Hey folks, today I'd like to talk to you about one of my very favorite Agatha Christie protagonists, and the one who probably taught me the most about how to be successful at work. And this is a Miss Marple mystery. It is 450 from Paddington, but my favorite character in this is not Miss Marple, but instead it is Lucy. Miss Marple's friend had witnessed a murder on a train, but the police are dismissing it. They figure she must have fallen asleep after reading some kind of very trashy magazine. They haven't been able to find the body. Miss Marple believes her friend and needs somebody to help her find the body. And she's like, I don't have the physical capabilities anymore to go traipsing around and find this. And she thinks of Lucy. She had taken a first in mathematics at Oxford and was acknowledged to have a brilliant mind and was confidently expected to take up a distinguished academic career. But Lucy Iselbarrow, in addition to scholarly brilliance, had a core of good sound common sense. She could not fail to observe that a life of academic distinction was singularly ill-rewarded. She had no desire whatever to teach, and she took pleasure in contacts with minds much less brilliant than her own. In short, she had a taste for people, all sorts of people, and not the same people the whole time. She also, quite frankly, liked money. To gain money, one must exploit shortage. Lucy Iselbarrow hit at once at a very serious shortage, the shortage of any kind of skilled domestic labor. To the amazement of her friends and fellow scholars, Lucy Iselbarrow entered the field of domestic labor. So what are the key takeaways for Lucy's story and her success? One of the first ones is that she doesn't go along with what society thinks that she should be doing. She is this intelligent woman, she has done well in university, and she doesn't take the path that everybody else expects her to take. She goes down a totally different route. Secondly, she goes to an area which is traditionally not well thought of. Lucy goes for a blue ocean area. So this is an area where she's not going to have a lot of competition. She can totally differentiate. She's going to be very different from all of the other people in this category because she wants to go there. And because she's able to differentiate, because she's going to be unique, she is able to command top dollar. Her success was immediate and assured. By now, after the lapse of some years, she was well known all over the British Isles. It was quite customary for wives to say joyfully to their husbands, "It will be all right. I can go with you to the States. I've got Lucy Iselbarrow." The point of Lucy Iselbarrow was that once she came into a house, all worry, anxiety, and hard work went out of it. She did everything, saw to everything, arranged everything. She was unbelievably competent in every conceivable sphere. She looked after elderly parents, accepted the care of young children, nursed the sickly, cooked divinely, got on well with old crusted servants that might happen to be, and there usually weren't, was tactful with impossible people, soothed habitual drunkards, and was wonderful with dogs. Lucy has organized how she's doing work for her clients to understand what they appreciate, and she gives that to them full throttle. So she knows how to convince somebody that she's got it under control, and that's because she understands how to speak to her clientele. Best of all, she never minded what she did. She scrubbed the kitchen floor, dug in the garden, cleaned up dog messes, and carried coals. Another thing that I think is good and bad is the idea of being willing to do any kind of work. And sometimes this means that you stay in low-valued work too long. Because I was willing to do anything, sometimes people just threw that stuff at me and didn't give me the more plum positions because everybody else was aiming for those, and I was still willing to check tabs and stuff because I didn't have an ego. But on the other hand, not having an ego I think helped me in the long run. So I'm okay with that, but it's probably not the fastest way to success. One of the other things I really like about Lucy is that she's just so well-rounded, and I am not as good with people as Lucy is, but I always think that it's important to be well-rounded, that you get good at one thing and then you get good at another thing and you get good at another thing. You don't just specialize in one tight thing because you might be really great at that, but the world can move on and you want to have the ability to pick up new skills all the time. You always want to be bringing in new stuff. To be well-rounded is actually going to help you a lot in the long term. One of her rules was never to accept an engagement for any long length of time. A fortnight was her usual period, a month at most in exceptional circumstances. She likes variety, and so she doesn't stay in any one thing for too long. And that's one of the things I loved about agency work, was that I kept on getting to change up what I was working on. I think this is like an important thing for people to think about when they're looking at jobs, is that agency world gives you so much more variety and so much different people. You get to work with your team a lot, but your clients always are changing. Versus when you're in-house, you get to travel with some of the projects a lot longer and you form deeper relationships, but perhaps you see a lot of people over and over again and the topics can get a little bit boring. For that fortnight, you had to pay the earth. But during that fortnight, your life was heaven. You could relax completely, go abroad, stay at home, do as you pleased, secure that all was going well at the home front in Lucy Eiselbarrow's capable hands. Another piece that I really like here is the emphasis on trust, that because her clients believe in her competence and she's able to create that relationship so quickly, she is able to just have them not worry about her. They don't check in on her as much. And this is, I think, a key thing for us as we move forward in our careers, is just having people kind of relax in, oh, this person is competent. I don't need to think about what they're doing. I don't need to really check in. And that's something that people will pay extra for. Naturally, the demand for her services was enormous. She could have booked herself up if she chose for about 3 years ahead. She had been offered enormous sums to go on as a permanency. But Lucy had no intention of being a permanency, nor would she book herself for more than 6 months ahead. And within that period, unknown to her clamoring clients, she always kept certain free periods, which enabled her to either take a short, luxurious holiday, since she spent nothing otherwise and was handsomely paid and kept, or to accept any position at short notice that happened to take her fancy, either by reason of its character or because she liked the people. She sets up her life so that she doesn't spend a lot except on the things that bring her the most pleasure. So, this is quite extreme, that she has room and board and all she needs to pay for is basically her clothing and her holidays. She is able to do the type of work that she wants now because she has the financial ability to do so, because she has created those relationships that she doesn't have to worry about, long-term stability, because she knows that she's always going to have a job to come back to. And she gets to choose those places and those positions that she likes the people. She can take somewhat of a hit in terms of the money because everything else is worked out for her. So these are important thoughts as I'm going through how to set my own rates as a person who's doing contract work, who's work optional now. Am I going to charge certain people less because I just like them, because I think that their company is doing good stuff? Am I going to charge other companies more because they're a little bit more disruptive and they come in and out and they need quicker turnarounds? I think that this is an important way for me to think about what my rate structure is, and perhaps that I don't need to be completely consistent for everybody that I talk with. Mere riches would not buy you the services of Lucy Eiselbarrow. She could pick and choose, and she did pick and choose. She enjoyed her life very much and found in it a continual source of entertainment. And, life goals. Completely life goals. So Lucy Eiselbarrow is intrigued. She takes the position. She goes, she looks, she finds the body, she makes lots of friends. The house has a regular Agatha Christie combination of characters, the crotchety old patriarch, the woman in her 40s who perhaps is about to have a new lease on life, the artist son who is off in an island somewhere, son who is doing well in business but perhaps is a little bit shady, and yet another child who is off and is skirting the wrong side of the law. It would make sense from a money perspective for the murder victim at some point to be the crotchety old patriarch, because everybody is waiting for him to die so they can get at the money. But he actually survives, and it is the other children who start dying off. And that's because our murderer is the family doctor who wants to get in with the nice daughter who is waiting for her life to begin once her dad passes away. So he's like, well, if everybody else dies, then we're going to inherit everything. And the original murder victim was his wife, because it's very hard to marry an heiress if your wife is in the way. Anyways, again, my favorite protagonist is Lucy, and she has so much to teach us about how to be a successful woman in this world. Have a great one. Thank you very much for sticking around to the end. Like, comment, subscribe. Who's your favorite Agatha Christie character? Take care. Bye. She makes a lot of money. She doesn't spend much. She has a lot of control over her time. And what's more to love about a character in the 1950s?